Hey guys, I'm TKano, and welcome to Melee Through a Lens.
Hey everybody, my name is TKano, and this is Melee Through a Lens, the very first episode. I've been wanting to do an Australian Melee-based podcast for the longest time because I don't really believe that our voices are heard very often, or there's no outlet for us, I don't believe, to voice most of our opinions. And in terms of Australian Melee, we don't really hear any names in the international sphere outside of, you got Spud, you get Sora. Almost no one else gets recognized. Like today, literally today, we had Save as Untitled looking through our stats and just being like, okay, the third best player is like Saint Nick. Right. But I think that speaks to our visibility sometimes, that we don't really have a lot of much of a voice. And I want to be able to discuss issues and talk about things that may have already been discussed in the minds of top players, things like growth in the international scene, legality of different rule sets, different controllers, the legality of controversial topics like wobbling, ledge grab limit, UCF, things like that. Things that have a bit of a push and pull. I decided to call this podcast Melee Through a Lens because I really wanted to look at different people's perspectives on different topics. Over time, I hope I'm able to expand to different perspectives within and outside of Australia. Maybe get some other voices and opinions on there. Because I think as we're kind of secluded as a community, I think it's really important to kind of open our mind and to different ideas. Think about things that maybe you probably have thought of before, but maybe rehash them in your mind, or for new players looking to kind of explore more of the scene, it is a good gateway in. I actually have zero podcasting experience myself. I just talk a lot, and for some reason some people believe me, so I thought it might be a good idea to try and make content with it. But again, with the zero experience comes a lot of hurdles. I'm going to be stuttering a lot, I'm going to be messing up some things, and some parts may even seem boring, and I hope you guys help me out with that. So for today's interview, I have some excerpts from an interview that I did with Sora, Darksided's very own Sora, now here in Victoria, previously in New South Wales. He's the second best ranked player in Australia, Fox main, and probably the only one amongst us who really has a shot at Spud. He seems to be light years ahead of the rest of us. And I was hoping that maybe his more fresh perspective on growth and understanding the game might be able to help us understand a couple of things, like for newcomers to the scene, how is the growth of the community doing? Do we need to worry about that? And for the players who are already in, what are some of the things that maybe we could be doing that could improve our gameplay, improve our growth? So without any further ado, this is the interview I had with him about growth. I wanted to talk to you specifically because I think you started playing around 2015, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think it was 2 years later you're sitting on grand finals in BAM, and that's a pretty quick trajectory for a lot of people.
Oh, cheers, man. Appreciate it. I was thinking about that too. No one's really come up since then, other than say sock.
Do you particularly remember any thoughts you had kind of back at, it's a 2-year growth period. Do you have any particular thoughts that it was faster than everyone else?
Yeah, I mean when I was in Sydney, just winning all the time. Oh, I wasn't really winning all the time. Sorry, is what I meant to say. There was the top 5. There was RJ, ZXV, MC, Crunchy, and RCJ, and they would just fuck me up over in time. And there was also a Puff, Puff Birdies. Oh. Yeah, they would just all fuck me up so much. And look at that matchup spread: Captain Falcon, Peach, Sheik, Falco, Marth,
that's a
Jigglypuff.
lot.
And I would just play those matchups over and over and over and over and over and over. And I'd play. Oh. And I was just get fucked, go the next thing, get fucked, and the next thing, get fucked. And then I just eventually started clicking. Things started slowly clicking. I was doing all right.
Right.
Then something happened. And someone's like, "You're not even that good, man." And I'm like, "No, fuck you, man." And he's like, "What are you wasting your time for, or something?" I'm like, "You piece of shit, man." And then I started hyper grinding. I thought about the game all the time. I played the game all the time. I still play and think about the game all the time. But not enough people play for garbage net play for 20 minutes a day and be like, why aren't I improving? Net play actually killed improvement. Yeah, net play really killed improvement, I reckon.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So back when
I guess back when you were kind of on the grind and there was still the top 5, do you remember if there was ever like a point of frustration, like a roadblock that you kind of like, I can improve past this point?
RJ. Yeah, RJ was definitely that guy. That piece of shit. I didn't beat RJ for so long. I mean, everyone else except RJ. It was the fucking worst. I was like, this fucking bitch keeps touching deathing me.
Right.
I was so mad. And then just before that BAM that I came second at, I beat him in the first set of my life, and then I beat him again in losers. And that's the first tournament I ever won with RJ in attendance, and I popped the fuck off.
Oh my god. That must have been validation, I guess.
It was sick. I'm just like, I'm fucking nice.
Yeah. On the subject of, being nice, I have interviewed Spud before on like some other topics when the documentary was coming up, and he mentioned something that I haven't heard a lot of other people say, that when I had asked him why Australia felt like they were so behind the US, he mentioned that there was a quote-unquote toxic mindset in Australia where it was like everyone has to be really sick and hit really cool things, and it's holding them back from what needs to be done. Do you think that's true, or?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I wouldn't say it's like holding everyone back or anything like that, but there's definitely a toxic mindset of like, you're a camping bitch. No, you're a camping bitch. Like everyone's a fucking camper here. But like the thing is, they don't want to do anything that's like slightly like, why do you think we don't have any puffs or sheiks? You know?
Yeah, I mean, in Victoria alone, it's like what, Emps is rising now, and he's kind of the only puff left, I think.
Yeah, there's Dennis, there's 6116, he's really good. He nearly beat Fess at Phantom. He's really good.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was a while ago.
That was crazy. No, there's definitely just like a lack of like puffs and like all of that because of it, and that definitely, there's like no low tiers or anything.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever find like sometimes that like newcomers or like relatively new people have come in the last couple of years, sometimes they surprise you a little bit? Has there been any point like that, or not? Or is it kind of like a top heavy thing?
It's kind of like not like the super duper growth that like you see from everyone. The fastest growing player recently has to be Sock. But, what's it called? Fest surprises me every now and then. Fest is getting really good as well.
Oh yeah.
It's mainly just I think the old guard's kind of dead now. Like SD's not going to come back and like win a tournament. There's just zero chance.
Yeah.
Like it's the same with like TKano and all of that. But like the only ones who really are going to ever win like at the current weight that are ever going to win like a major here is it's probably just going to be Sputter Eye. If like one of us slacks, I don't see Slud's slacking. I definitely see myself slacking. It's going to be one of those two. And the only other person that's grown like rapidly anywhere near as quick is probably Sock. And that's about it.
Huh. Do you think Australia really has a bit of a top heavy problem?
Yeah, but Spud's too good for his own good. Like he's insane. Like he's so fucking good, and we just can't bring it to him.
Within Australia, you're rank 2 in Australia.
Yeah.
And you have like ups and downs, and so does he in terms of like getting close to him. And have you taken a set off him ever?
No, I've never taken a set off him.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's hard, man.
Yeah, that's. I guess that's how it's
the matchup.
It's the matchup. Do you think that's the main factor between you?
Nah, he's way too good. he's really good, but it's definitely hurt me a few times, especially in the game 5ers.
Oh yeah. There've been a couple of those now.
Yeah, when the down throw detail hits, it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Huh.
Do you believe that people grow, like naturally, different people will grow at different paces? Like, say they're all given the same practice regimen or something. Do you think everyone grows at different paces?
100%. Like, no one comes out of that at the same skill level, Yeah, it's like if you sat people down in the setup, pointed them to analyze Mango left, and you fucking... It's like class, you know what I mean? It's like everyone goes to the same class, but like not everyone learns the same.
I see.
Yeah. Like, the thing is like, you can be as dedicated as you want, but sometimes the game's just not for you. And that's fine. It's not for everyone.
Do you think within, especially here in Australia, right? Some people, do you think there's something that people aren't doing enough of? Whether it's like analysis, or
holding down.
Holding down.
Yeah, seriously, no one's holding down enough. So broken.
Wow. Okay. I was ready for a whole Zen explanation. It's like, oh, no one does analysis enough.
No, just hold down and you win. Trust me, holding down is so broken. Just hold the fuck down and you're fine.
That's actually so funny.
No practice needed, man. Just hold down whenever you're freaking out and you'll be fine. Who serious is people need to practice more. You can't just practice for a year and expect to come in. Like, that's what I hate about My Son's mindset is like he's like practicing as much as I do, or maybe like a little bit more, but I've got like more years of experience under my belt with the same amount of practice. So he gets frustrated when he's not beating me, but it's just like, bro, I've been there, done that with what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what you're doing isn't new territory for me.
Yeah.
So it's like, he gets really annoyed when he can't beat me yet. But, yeah.
It's just a matter of hours there, huh?
Yeah. I played way more Melee than him. Like, that's just the thing of it. I played Spud more, played high-level players more. Like, that's why competing in America is so hard, because I just played better players and played way more.
You've talked a little bit recently on Twitter about Fox Dittos becoming a bit frustrating and maybe picking up Marth and other secondaries to kind of keep you from being too irritated.
Yeah. The thing is, the Jeek's not real. The Joshy Sheik won't ever come out. It's just too lame. But the thing is like, oh man, I'm just lost in Fox Marth. That's really what I was trying to say. Fox Marth right now, it's so fucked. It's like, he just camps me and holds down, and it's just like, that's all he needs to do.
Yeah.
I just need to be better. Like, as dumb as that sounds to say.
So you think? I mean, you also did mention at the same time that Fox Marth was still really fun in another level for you.
Oh, it's my favorite matchup. Yeah. Fiction made a good tweet when he said it's my favorite matchup until I realized that the purpose of the game is to win.
That's actually very painful, but also very
it's just
true.
Like, oh right.
This is more, I guess, the more important question in terms of like newcomers to see it, and I mean like absolute newcomers. You know, we will occasionally see, you know, like some of these people have like, oh, I've played Smash Tour and Ultimate or something like that. What do you think is the clincher? Like, or do you think it's different for every person? What do you think is the clincher between someone who makes the switch?
They'll have to want it in their soul, man. Like, you have to look at Melee and be like, it's how fucking hard it is, and be like, yeah, I'm ready to dedicate a fuckload of time to that. We've all dedicated more time to Melee than we're proud to admit. Yeah, the thing is just like, Melee is just way too much time to be clinched on, especially as an adult. It's hard to you can't really be clinched in Melee like, what, 20?
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe you can pick it up at like 23, 24. Like, you really got to be invested in it.
I see.
I don't think there's anything like the scene. The scene speaks for itself. We don't have to like act on our best behavior for people. Like, the reason we love the scene is because everyone's who they are. You know.
Oh yeah.
Like, no one needs to be like, oh, we have to be extra super duper accommodating for X and Y. But like, I feel like the majority of the scene is accommodating, and we try to filter out anyone that's being an absolute fuck. You know? Like, I don't really.
Occasionally it'll happen, I guess.
Yeah, it does happen, but that happens everywhere. You can't stop it. But I feel like our scene's doing great. For like being a welcoming place. It's hard though.
It is. It's real hard, and like you know, half the reason I end up trying to do things like the documentary and doing media and stuff is because I do want more. You know, I would love for the next, you know, someone who happens to be attuned to games to just look at Melee and be like, and maybe they will be the next Sock or Spud or whoever. I guess last question regarding the newcomers: has Ultimate been good for Melee?
I don't think so. I don't think Ultimate's really done much. Oh no, we hang out with the Ultimate boys now, which is good. They're now playing Melee, which is good. But they would have done that with Smash 4, you know.
I see. You don't think that would have been? I don't know, because I'm curious about that question because now I see a lot of the Ultimate kids kind of like coming over, and that happened to a lesser extent. I feel like with Smash 4. So I'm just curious about that.
I don't know. I don't think the game's really like they're gonna help to bring like some action. We maybe get a couple people, but it's almost insignificant what those games do sometimes.
I see.
Like, they usually stay in their own crowd. The thing is, though, is the documentary is definitely what helps more than anything. Well, like, especially with like I came from Smash 4. A lot of people.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's why I started playing. I played the 3DS version. I'm just like, this is terrible. And then my friend's like, watch this documentary. I'm like, this looks really cool, and it was really cool. Yeah. So the games usually have to link to the documentary. I think the documentary is where all the hubbub is.
Huh. That's kind of a shock. I didn't know you came from Smash 4, actually.
Yeah. A lot of people come from the documentary, though, as well, which is huge. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Smash games really help that much. But there's a little draw.
I see. And I guess, like, last one, we can just wrap it all up. You know, I guess the next official shot will be at Phantom and then BAM. Do you see the gap between, I guess, you and Spud? Do you think that's kind of shrinking or growing, or
It
and
was
down?
shrinking at BAM, and then he went to Summit and came back, and then he was just like, all right, well, he's got a Summit level up. Okay. And then it's kind of grown again. But the thing is like, what keeps me going is I've taken more games off Spud in tournament than SVAT.
Oh
So,
no, that's
you know,
unfortunately true.
SVAT has never taken a game off Spud in tournament. How funny is that?
That's actually
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I gotta remember I'm playing like a freak. You know?
yeah, that's true. But that's
Yeah, but I think I could do it.
huh. That's kind of funny. I just realized like being friends with like PPU or something, you'd think he'd have that matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, he had controller issues at Phantom, though, to be fair. But
He did, and I don't remember which turn. I think it was Stone Park where like Spud beat him before with the you know the one with the pivoton. Yeah. Bam, 2020 coming up. Shot at Spud. Do you think you have that like chance?
After I go to America for Genesis, I really need to grind.
Uh-huh.
I think if I learn enough and I use that time wisely, and maybe even I have an idea of a tournament I want to attend in future, but that's on the wraps for now.
All right.
But yeah, no, I feel like I can do it. I always feel like I can do it. I don't sit down at the setup and go, "This is going to be impossible." Yeah,
Excellent.
I just gotta fucking kill him. Just gotta kill the man with the sword.
And that was Sora's thoughts on growth and new players in the scene. You know, I think it's really interesting that he actually was pretty adamant that like the scene is doing fine as it is, right? You know, as someone here who's kind of been under the impression that it's like I always want to see more. Of course, I always want to see more people come to these locals, and I want to see the events grow and stuff like that. You have people like, you know, No Scrub welcoming new players in all the time, being probably one of the most friendly people with like very new people, and like certain events that more people can come to, like Smash Brews, where it's like you don't have to necessarily be part of the whole Smash thing to attend these. Those are really successful for getting new people in and stuff like that. But for people like Sora, in terms of having this understanding that we don't need to grow the scene, we're fine as we are. We don't need to be in our best behavior for these other, you know, other potential outside individuals. It really comes from a place of identity, understanding this like refuge that we've created, you know, of passion and competition, right? That I think has a raw kind of unmitigated energy that is really hard to replicate. If there's a single country in the world that I think can make this kind of group really attractive to, I don't know, new people, I think it's Australia. I think Australia has this understanding of raw energy, of sportsmanship, of competition. And, you know, I've written articles in the past about why esports might actually could be like a really big thing in Australia. I mean, look at our sports culture here with the AFL, with tennis, with stuff like that. I very much doubt we'll ever reach the numbers that these bigger sports deals do. But that understanding of supporting teams, of cheering the right people on, and like of rivalries and stories, I think that's a really powerful thing that Australia has, and it's a really good thing for our identity. And again, like Smash is one of those things that, you know, even Justin Wong, Mr. American FGC himself, has kind of said that if he was going to get into the scene, he would have gotten into like Smash 4 or Ultimate, because that's something that you can apply other things to. And it's not like you can't with Melee, but Melee is just so much of a time investment, a time sink, like an everything commitment, that I can understand that maybe it's not really our place to kind of look for new people who might be attracted to this kind of thing, because it's a really, really hard game, and everyone's going to grow at different paces. In terms of like the lower to mid-level players' improvements and stuff, I was really happy to hear about, you know, the grinding into practice. You know, there's no skill in the world that I think you can really get around like a crap ton of practice if you really want to get good at something. And, you know, the passion itself will feel that. The passion come from many places, in terms of wanting to beat your friends, having this like unsurmountable wall that you just really want to beat, like with Sora, with RJ, like you had that kind of drive of a force that you just cannot simply walk over. You have to grind it out. You have to build yourself up until eventually you have enough stepping stones to kind of make that jump and, you know, bypass your obstacles. So yeah, I think it was really interesting to hear that. I was a little surprised that he doesn't think that we're doing enough in terms of like the analysis, the mental game and stuff like that. And I definitely do agree in terms of improvement. we have this stigma against anything that's, you know, the super optimal, maybe not as exciting play, that, you know, I think it's possible to mix this kind of stuff in. Like, I believe it was Nunn or someone like that who always said you can always hide efficiency with swag, you know, in terms of certain moves being more pleasing to watch, you know, certain matchups, stuff like that. He would say something like that as a Captain Falcon main. I think he has a very different idea of efficiency than the rest of us. Now, before we kind of end off the podcast and the first episode, I do want to talk a little bit about Breakthrough. Breakthrough is coming up. Battle Arena Melbourne's coming up. For those who don't know, Breakthrough is my documentary coming up about number 1 and number 2 in Melee Australia, which is, you know, Sora and Spud. Sora's never taken a set off of Spud, which he has mentioned in the interview. I clipped that off so I can use it for a future episode. I think that's a really interesting story in itself. It helps to highlight Spud and how he's kind of light years ahead of the rest of us. It helps highlight Sora and kind of the rest of us that are really, really trying to grind and get up there in terms of just this gap between number 1, 2, potentially 3, and then like the rest of us. I think it's a really good story to tell in terms of Australian FGC, Australian Melee, and I want to let the world know a little bit more about us. I don't want us to just be like, oh yeah, everyone knows Spud because he went to Summit that one time and like took some games off of Mike Hayes like years ago. I want the international scene to kind of see the names that we love so much on our PR and recognize them and talk about them and be excited when they say, oh, okay, 5 of them are coming in Genesis, which, you know, that's coming up. That's real exciting. Good luck to our 5 competitors from Melee going over to Genesis. I think that's Spud, Sora, MC, Fess, SA Nick. So good luck to all of you. And in terms of Breakthrough, we have established, now that the BAM dates have been established, we're trying to book equipment out at the right times. We're arranging interviews and stuff like that. I've sent over a bunch of questions to my director of photography. We're advising each other on B-roll and stuff like that. And really soon, a GoFundMe is coming out. I don't really usually just ask straight up for money, but film funding is kind of expensive, and in terms of getting the distribution out there, catering charges, equipment, you know, transport and equipment transport, we're actually looking at a semi-expensive shoot. So hopefully you guys can help me out with that. I will be spreading up the GoFundMe link sooner or later. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for episode 1 of the Melee Through a Lens podcast. I really hope to kind of look for a co-host in the future, or, you know, to have these more of a live conversation, you know, maybe Discord calls, set up a webcam. I'm still looking for one of those. I think I can use I've done some tests with my phone. I think I can even use my phone as a webcam. But hopefully in the future, there'll be more of a visual element to this as well for those of you watching on YouTube. Not that, you know, necessarily we need a visual element for YouTube, but, you know, why not? I think it'll give something else to think about. That's going to be all for this episode, and I will see you guys next time.